So, bottom line, it's so easy to create content. It really, I can't say it always has been though, but don't get so tied up in, I need it to be this platform. No, you don't. You just want it to get from point A to point B. And whatever's easy for you is what's going to work. Whatever is the least amount of hurdles for you to get from where you are to getting your thoughts out there. It's great. This is what's great about Twitter and YouTube. Really easy to get your stuff out there. And then I would go as far as to say, when my dad came to me and he said, I want a website, I need a blog, I thought about all the options out there. And the one option I recommended was Tumblr. And I'm not sure how many people have talked about Tumblr here. I mean, I know it's open camp and everything. But unfortunately, I hate to tell you, WordPress is not as user-friendly, even WordPress.com, as Tumblr is for someone like my dad, who would call me for support. So if anybody is going to recommend Drupal ever to me again, you better hope you're not within arm's reach, because I will reach out and throttle you. Sorry to offend any Drupal folks, but Drupal has been, by and large, the most painful experience I've ever had in this industry. Painful. Long story, and I know I'm stepping on toes. I know it's open source, but if there's an issue with Drupal, it's that it hits you over the head with its power. Software that requires a manual has failed. Period. End of story. And WordPress can be just as bad. So I'm not an evangelist for one platform or another, and I definitely don't have anything to sell you guys, okay? But it is a part of my ethos that if I've got to figure out how to use something, I don't want to use it. And yes, you could probably blame Apple for that. I'm sure you will. It's funny, anymore, I could write something neutral on the web. I could do a video, something neutral, and I could be attacked by two different people. Oh, you Apple lover. Oh, you Apple hater, over the same piece of content. It's not about you and what you're putting out there. It's how people project themselves onto you. So when you decide to switch away from Windows Vista, that wonderful operating system, to Mac OS X, and people are upset at you for your decision, it's their problem, not yours. You're sharing this information, you're sharing your passion, you're sharing your ideals for you. If anybody else gets something out of it, great. But that content's only going to be genuine if you're genuine. The community is only going to come to you if you are yourself. And commerce is only going to flow from that in this complete circle of life if those two pieces are put together. So by the way, if you came here looking for the top 10 ways of monetizing your blog through all the black hat tactics, that's not what I do, because everybody here has got a different mission. You guys have different goals, you have different backgrounds, and it would literally take me more than a month to go through everybody in this room to address everybody's needs. But this is the bottom line. Your blog is a nexus. Do not Laporte yourself. And I say this with all respect to Leo. I looked at the blog post he wrote the other week, and I shook my head. I'm like, Leo, what were you thinking? Leo, very smart man. Genius, leader. But for some reason, he was letting his community flow out on Google Buzz, which I think 3 other people use at this point. And he has great conversations, because it's Leo. Honestly, he could fart, it would be made into movie options and a book deal and everything. So he's got great community, right? And it doesn't matter where Leo goes, the community will follow. I mean, you guys can be in the same league as Leo sooner or later. So he put all his content out on Google Buzz and then was upset because Google Buzz had lost something due to a bug. He said, well, maybe I should use my blog again. I'm like, why did you stop? The blog is the one thing you control. Own that domain. You may not own the software that's running on that domain, but you should own the content that you're producing in your blog to be able to pick it up and move it somewhere else. And I tell you, if a blog or a blog network does not allow you, even I would go as far as to say a social media tool, does not allow you to extract your content as easily as you put it into it, they're along the wrong path. I can't say I've always done this with Twitter, but when I figured this out well over a few years ago, I started archiving my tweets on a weekly basis. So that way I would have a local copy of that content for myself. But your blog is a nexus. You can live on YouTube, I do. Twitter, I do. Facebook, yeah, anywhere. That's fine. You can create content everywhere else. But if you do not have that central point, that nexus point to collect that information, that data that you're putting out there, then you're missing the idea of even having a blog. That's your nexus point, okay? Every YouTube video that I put out there, I am absolutely sure I embed in a blog post. I have it written up, I have it transcribed, and then I also include a link to the podcast video, which I upload to Blip TV because it's easy hosting, I don't have to worry about it. So I've got 2 copies of that video. So if YouTube decides that I'm, no good anymore, and they might, who knows, maybe they're onto my game, I was no good in the first place, then they can take all my videos away and I never have access to them. So I have a copy. Now, I don't think, I would go as far as to say that maybe 95 of the videos that I've done suck, but that doesn't keep me from doing them, right? And apparently, some people think that I don't suck enough to follow me, so that's a good thing, right? But it's the OCD of me, I just want perfection, but realize that I can't always have it, but that doesn't stop me. Either way, your blog is where everything needs to come. You don't necessarily have to push people back directly to your blog to find everything, but if you're not thinking of that blog as a nexus point, you're really missing out on the reason a blog can and should exist. This is another thing. People say, it just takes too long to blog. Well, yeah, it's quick to tweet, but as I just explained before, you can also archive your tweets. The video's too difficult. What are you talking about? Dude, I have home movies, where my parents would record the camera and you would have to develop the film so you couldn't, that was a pain in the ass. Doing it on here is not painful at all. You make it painful. It's easy to do if you do it. It may suck, but that's okay, because a lot of the stuff that I do sucks. And if I'm doing it, you can do it too. Your blog, your presence is going to grow online as you grow. Who I am today is not the same person I was 10 years ago. In fact, that pisses me off. Sorry. Okay, cat's out of the bag. It upsets me. Sorry. I'm trying to be respectful with language. I have a problem with that. I don't have Tourette's or anything. I just have a bad mouth. So some people, they say, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. I'm like, well, thank God for that. And that's the answer to that question, if anybody ever throws that to you. It's going to grow, as will you. Your blog is X. It is what you want it to be. And I'd be careful about throwing too many widgets on there, too. Because, the more widgets you put on there, that's data that you're throwing out to other networks that you may never be able to collect back. I mean, I'm always very meticulous about making sure that the data that I'm putting out there, I still at least have a copy of. But make it your way. What's right for me is not right for you. What's right for this person is not right for that person. It's just the way it is. Blogs, yes, are free, but sometimes you got to pay for good advice. Some people, don't really want to spend money. Like I said, I'm not here to sell you anything, but when it comes time, you may have to spend money. The whole free tard mentality doesn't fly with me. Sorry, that offends. Well, I'm doing a tech tards thing later, so sorry. I apologize for anybody who's going to watch that, by the way, beforehand. Bottom line, you are already a success. How you measure that is up to you. Others are eventually going to find out. Blog is a great place for you to posit thoughts, to act as a collection point for all this social media gesturing that you're doing, for all the things that you want to do. People will eventually figure it out. Now, whether it's one person or a million people, You're still going to be making these connections. And that blog is that one way you're going to be able to assert your identity on the web. But make no mistake, you've already won the game. It's just a matter of time before others figure that out. And I think that's all I have in that deck. So I think I had the 5-minute warning. I don't know if, boy, Callie, your eyes got big there. Oh, she started to clap. I'm sorry. Time for like one question? 2 minutes. Okay, so if you ask it really quickly.
One thing real quick.
Yes.
You were complaining about Drupal.
Wait. Huh?
As I hear it, Drupal Commons is coming out, which will make it a lot simpler, and maybe people like you and me can take it in a little easier. I didn't know if you'd heard of it.
I did look at the gardens, Drupal gardens. I logged in, and yeah, it's the gardens, yeah. And it was good, but still the back end, I was like, wow, no, it's still too unwieldy. They're surfacing too much power.
Questions?
It's like Android. I put Drupal in the same camp as Android. There's a lot of power there, and there's just not enough cohesiveness.
Question down here. Anybody else?
You took us down a path to the past. How about a step to the future?
What's the next hot thing?
Yeah, Drupal is going to be hot. In like 20 years, it's going to get easy. And you won't need to hire a trainer to figure out how to log in. No, it's great. Hopefully, guys, seriously, don't take me, Chris Pirillo and blah, blah, blah. No, seriously, guys. No, it's bad. No.
Other questions?
That was Eddie Izzard there, anyway. Yeah, I don't know what the future really holds, other than tools are going to get easier and easier to use. There will be far more tools out there. People like me, I'm a tool. And you too can be a tool if you just use these tools. No, I think it's just getting easier to get your thoughts from point A to point B. And if there is a future, it is that software and services are going to get easier to use and more accessible. And that's something that's near and dear to my own heart, because I believe that usability should be job one.
Thank you, Chris. If there's anything I really appreciate about this man, is that you do not have to guess where you stand with Chris Pirillo. You know exactly right off the bat. He is 100% genuine at all times. And actually, I think that's a lesson that we can learn in the new world order, in the new social media arena, is people are rewarded for being genuine. And Chris is an absolute living, breathing example of that. Love him or hate him, you got to respect him. He's honest. I love him. I love him because he's honest.
The last one beer, please.